Well, the Monster Hunter Wilds beta has come and gone, and I played a lot of it. Not a lot, like 2 hours, but I beat 4 monsters, which I think is all of the major monsters. Did a lot, and I have some thoughts. Since this is my YouTube channel, and you're watching it, I'm going to share those thoughts. Now, I want to do a little disclaimer for this video. This will not be an unbiased review of Monster Hunter Wild. I wish I could say it was. I wish I could say I'm a good journalist. I wish that I could say that I am completely objective with no subjectivity, but that is just not true. I've played Monster Hunter for like 15 or 20 years. I think it's 20 years now. I think the first Monster Hunter was 2004, and I played it in 2004. I've played so many Monster Hunters. I love the game. It's one of my favorite games, maybe my favorite game franchise. With all that being said, just know I'm going into this video with that on the table. I'm going to be biased towards it. I'm going to be more forgiving of the bad things and more celebratory of the good things, because that's just how I view this game. I think it's awesome, and I want them to keep making more, and I love it. With that being said, we're going to go through the pros and the cons of the beta, and I'm going to try and give it a final verdict. Keep in mind that this was just the beta. I played 2 hours and I hunted 4 monsters. I by no means put a lot of hours into the beta. I didn't play it over and over and over and beat all the monsters. I kind of did everything I could and then stopped. So this is my review of the Monster Hunter Wilds beta. Let's start with the pros. The number one pro, and my favorite thing about this game, it's open world. I mean, what the hell? This is what I've wanted in Monster Hunter games for years, just to be open world. I thought no game would fit better into the open world formula than Monster Hunter, and boy was I right. This thing was cool. That was a fart. There was something so satisfying about going straight from the hub, no loading screens, hopping on your secret, isn't that how you say it, secret? And just going out and hunting a monster. The only bad thing about the Monster Hunter games is the loading screens. I mean, there's a lot of them. So many loading screens. And with this game being open world, they've completely done away with that. And it feels awesome. And since it's open world, they've revamped the way you get and complete quests, and it's awesome. You can either get quests from the handler and then go out and do those quests, or something I did was just find monsters, start fighting them, and it creates a quest based on fighting that monster. So sick. And when it comes to fighting monsters, they've added one really big new mechanic that makes it feel pretty awesome, and that's focus attacks. Now, focus attacks allow you to pull up a little reticle, and instead of kind of having to aim your body where you want to swing, you can now aim the reticle where you want to swing, and mid-attack, you'll swing that direction. This is huge, and this is a pro. For me, it's also a con, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The focus attacks make the greatsword and the hammer and any weapon with big windups and big damage feel OP in a goodish way. Now, I've always been a big fan of greatsword and hammer, and it takes a lot of skill to get the timing down for when to attack so you're hitting the monster's head, how to position yourself based on where the monster is so that when you swing, you're hitting it correctly. There's a lot of nuance in those big bonk weapons to make sure that you're doing as much damage as efficiently as possible. And focus attacks have kind of taken that away. But the trade-off is worth it in my opinion. There is nothing that is as cool as wounding a monster and then getting a perfect focus attack on that monster. It's so satisfying. It just feels so good. It feels weighty and sharp and damaging in all the best ways. And as far as changing things in meaningful ways, I think traversal has been changed in a pretty meaningful way as well. Having the secret that you can just kind of call and ride off on is going to change the gameplay loop a lot. When Monster Hunter first started, it was attack, be careful, get damage in when you can. If you get hit once, go heal. When you're healing and you're drinking a potion, you have to stand still in the old games. So you run, you stop, you hope you're far enough away from the monster to get a little sip in. And if you're not, you just get hit, okay? Monster Hunter World, you can move and run while you're drinking potions, but the secret brings in a whole new way to explore and just travel in general. You can sharpen weapons on the secret, you can drink potions on the secret, you can go through your menu on the secret, and the secret will just follow your objective automatically. So you can hop on and be browsing menus while it's just taking you to the next location, which honestly makes the gameplay loop feel a lot more fluid and not as kind of big chunks of action and then big chunks of management. And so let's say you're on a secret and you're looking through menus. They've changed the menus a lot for this game, honestly, and I agree with most of it. We'll talk about the menus I don't agree with when we get into cons, but let's talk about the menus I really, really like the changes to. And the big one is the equipment menu. I love that they took away kind of the icons, and now it's just pictures or visual representations of the thing you're wearing, of the weapon, so you can keep track better of which weapon is which, and you don't have to scroll through all these icons to find the weapon you're looking for. You can just go, oh, that's the weapon right there, and go straight to it. That's a really nice change. Once you get later into Monster Hunter games, you're gonna have so many weapons and armor pieces, it's gonna be crazy trying to dig through to find an old one. In Monster Hunter World, I think I have like 13 or 14 pages of weapons and armor. It's a lot to sift through at times. I think this change is really, really helpful for the kind of item and storage management portions of the game, which is a big part of it. Another pro is that you can bring 2 weapons now. 2 weapons. One you keep on your Psychret and one you have on you. So sick. I never really have been a ranged user in this game, but in bringing 2 weapons, I found that I tried out the light bow gun, heavy bow gun, and the bow, and they all felt awesome because when I needed to keep distance, when the monster was agitated or enraged, I could stay back and still be doing damage instead of having to really get into the action and risk getting hurt or carting. The 2 weapons is such a cool idea, especially for an open world. You can do multiple hunts and even bring different elemental weapons so you can fight different monsters before having to go back and change weapons again. Also having pop-up camps, really, really cool. I can tell that they learned a lot from making Dragon's Dogma 2 and what things they thought would be cool to implement into Monster Hunter Wilds. The camping, the food, the kind of combat revamp, it all feels very new Capcom, if that makes sense. And I think that's a good thing. But let's talk about a few of the cons that I noticed that I think can be adjusted and can be remedied, but might be deal breakers. So the first one, speaking of attacks, is focus attacks. While I do like the way they feel, and I think for more casual fans of the series, or for new entries into the series, or for people who just like to live a bit more of a power fantasy in their games, it's a really positive change. But the focus attacks are OP. They are strong. And I can really see hardcore Monster Hunter fans being upset because they take a little bit of the nuance and the skill and the practice out of the strongest weapons in the game. Hammer and Greatsword, especially Greatsword, feel crazy in this game. I mean, they feel nuts. Unstoppable almost. There was no monster I fought that I thought I should take anything but the Greatsword with, because being able to true charge and know you're not going to miss the attack, it's a game breaker. And I can't even imagine some of the big attacks on other weapons. File weapons like the Charge Blade or the Switch Axe, where you can like super amped elemental discharge and know you're going to strike their weak point, that's strong. Now, I won't say this is a huge con, because the focus attacks, I imagine 2 things are going to happen. 1, they're going to build monsters to where they can withstand them a little better. And 2, they might even nerf them eventually. But in the way they are, I think it doesn't detract much from the hunting feeling. If anything, it might add to the satisfaction of the overall gameplay, because every attack feels weighty and it feels like you're really doing damage. Another con for me is also the Psychret. Now, I know I said positive things about it, but the negative is it controls weird, man. Once I went in and turned off the setting where it automatically explores the environment, it felt a lot better. But before that, I would hop on and it would just start going. And I was like, whoa, hold up. I need to get like my bearings. I need to figure out what the hell is going on. And it's just like, no, we're leaving. We're leaving right now. It's like, bro, please. But again, once I turned off that setting, really fixed all of that. Felt a lot better to control. And in the long run, I think it's a very, very good change. What I'm not convinced is a good change yet is the item bar. So I'll be honest, I don't think I'm going to have any problems with the item bar because I just use the radial menus. But if somebody really loves the item bar, they made some weird changes to it. It's now not just horizontal, but there's vertical stack. And I don't think that was necessary. I think just revamping the radial menus is a cool idea. I don't think it's really a deal breaker at all because you can just kind of subvert the item bar completely. But it's just a weird change and it's like, it wasn't broken. Why would you fix it? You know what I mean? Why would you change it? It didn't need to be changed. Now, before we get to what I think is the biggest flaw, I want to talk about something that is just a weird choice. And that's the Palicos talking. Why the f do they need to talk? They don't need to talk. That's weird. Make them meow and have subtitles. Let me tell you, I turned it on because I was like, oh, this might be interesting. I wonder what it'll be like, you know, to hear my Palico talk. After the first like 5 minutes, no, turn the shit off. It was crazy. It was so weird. Now let me put the sword down because this is the actual biggest flaw, okay? And that's the performance. So I played the beta on PS5. I had no issues logging into servers, no issues with load times, no issues with game glitches, no issues with the graphics resolution dropping down or bugs or anything like that. But that is not what I heard happened on PC. I'm a little bit selfish. The PS5 ran it beautifully. That's what I'm going to buy it on. So I'm not worried personally. I know that they make these games for consoles first, and then they try to port them or make them compatible with PCs, but it's very tough because it's not standardized hardware. But if you're worried about performance and you have the opportunity, I would just buy it on console. Consoles will have a day one update that will fix most of the issues, and I can't say for sure that'll happen for PC. I love Monster Hunter, and I want as many people to buy it as possible. It's the same way I felt about Dark Souls and From Software before the big Elden Ring boom. It's like, these games are so fun. They've been so niche, up until World especially. But if you're on PC, I might wait till after launch. I'm not saying it's definitely going to be ruined or it's not going to work. I'm just saying maybe check it out, read some reviews, and mostly go on like social media and see what people are saying. If you see there's a big backlash of people like, oh, the game is broken on PC, they're going to fix it really fast. So consoles, I would say buy it day one. It's awesome, especially if you like Monster Hunter games. Dude, this is going to be such a sick Monster Hunter game. This might be the first one I actually play multiplayer. I'm a solo hunter most of the time, pretty much always unless my friends want to play. I might actually lean more co-op just to explore together. It sounds so fun to hop out of the camp, get on your cycrets together, go out into the world, and just hunt monsters with your friends. No loading screens, setting up camps. It sounds so sick. If you're on PC though, I would maybe give it a week just to make sure, just better be safe than sorry. With all that being said, I give Monster Hunter Wilds beta a 10 out of 10. Fucking 10 out of 10. I told you I was biased. What did you expect? See you next time. I mean, I tried to tell him I was biased. I started the video with the disclaimer. I'm really biased to this game. I'm gonna lie to you. But no one wanted to believe me. They still watched the whole video thinking I was gonna be like, oh, it's a 6.5. Oh, it's a 7. Yeah, right. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 every time. If the score went higher, I'd give it that score. Monster Hunter, please sponsor me.